Hello and welcome back to another video tutorial on architecture drawing. So this time we will discuss about how to render your exterior elevation. Okay, so technically you have this drawing that was produced in Illustrator or in AutoCAD, depending on what software you're using, and it is black and white. It is just a line drawing and without the textures or anything. So this tutorial, we're gonna discuss how to actually render the things, render your drawing in probably the most easiest ways there is out there. So it's not through rendering. We just have to use Photoshop to complete the task. So technically, we are on Photoshop right now. We are using Photoshop. The first thing is to make sure that we have our properties over here. And Yep, properties is the important ones, and also layers. So make sure you have your layers and properties, colors. This is my basic tree function that I always use. But the most important thing is the layers. Make sure you have your layers on. If you don't have this, just go to Windows and then go to layers, right? And obviously, if you have a tick over here, that means your layer is on. So just make sure that it's on. Okay, so a few things that we're going to cover during this tutorial is the elevation, which is the drawing. So we are doing elevation, specifically exterior elevation, and then we will do the materials, how to render, to show the materials on your elevation drawing, a little bit on shadows, and last but not least is the context. Okay, so let's get right into it. So as we discussed before, the Photoshop program, they always work with what do you call it, layers, functions, right? So they exist on layers, and everything that you put in Photoshop, it will appear as layers. If you look into this, like this drawing, it has one particular layers, and that text is one particular layers, and this layers is the one that I just add. So I just add new layers and I put BG as background, because the original background will always lock. Usually I will not mess with the original background. It's actually locked, and then you can't really do anything on it unless you unlock it. But for now, let's just leave it as it is, and then make a new layers as background, in case we need to put something on it. And then the text exists as another layers, and you have your drawing as another layers, right? So always remember, Photoshop always work with layers. Okay, so let's start with the material first. Basically, the one that we gonna use or gonna do. The main things that we are doing in this tutorial is rendering this thing with your chosen material. So let's say I would like to have this building as a bare brick kind of material. So basically, we're gonna have all these bricks, all this the main facade as brick. So the easiest way is just to jump on Google and then just search big bricks textures, and you're gonna use search image, you know, and you're gonna have a lot of brick texture that you have here. Um, the first things that you need to consider is that you need to find a brick that is even, the colors is even, or the tones is even. So I'm going to show why this is important. So for example, for this one, it is a nice pictures of brick, but you can see that it is a little bit darker over here. So there's a little bit of tone on the brick. So this is gonna be a problem in our work. So let me just show you, oh, sorry, let me just show you why is it a problem. So just copy image. So when you copy image from Google, you're gonna have to add new layers before you do anything. So that this is layer one, and then you just go to edit and paste, right? And then you have this. So this image, the one that you just copy from Google, will exist on layer one, right? Without new layers, you can't copy on that layers, right? Uh, so what you do is, this is a little bit too small, for the whole surface. So what we're going to do is that we're going to copy and paste this image. So to do that, make sure that you select the layers and then you hold down alternate and then you just drag the thing. So right now I'm also holding down shift so that I move on a straight line. If I let go my shift button or shift key, it's not it will go like whatever my mouse is moving. But once I held down my shift key, it will move on a straight line. So that's important to do as well. So hold down your alternate first and then hold down your shift button and then you copy it like very straight next to it. So if you look at here, you can see that the tone, you can see you can see the problem. See, right? So it's not even, right? So that's why we have to choose an even pictures without the tone, without the shadows and whatnot. All right. So let's delete this layer and then just find another bridge texture that's actually a lot more suitable. Right, this one looks like there is no tone, so everything's sort of like even color. So maybe you can choose this one. So just copy image and then go back to your Photoshop, add new layers. Remember, always add new layers before you paste, and then Control V, which is space, and then you just hold down your alternate key again. That will copy the thing, right? And then you see that this is, and you have sort of like even colors. Okay, and if you zoom out, it looks pretty decent, right? You might want to move it a little bit to basically match it a little bit more. But once you sort of like zoom out, it's not gonna see much different, and there's no tone or whatnot to basically makes it look a little bit weird, but it's actually quite okay. So once you have that, what you're gonna do when you copy and paste, if you look at here, you started to have two layers, right? And then if you copy again, you're gonna have three layers. Okay, so right now we want to make this one whole bunch, like one piece of layers. So in order to do that, we have to select all of the layers. So to select all of them, you just hold down Control and then click on the layers, right? So these three layers now selected. So even if you move it, you will move all of them, right? Because you just select all of them. So right click to it and then merge layers. Then you have one bunch of layers, like one, it's not bunches of layer, one single layers as the materials, okay? And then we copy again. Right now I want to copy to the one like above it. To make things a lot easier, so what I do is I just select these both layers and then copy them again. And then we have like four pieces of like large bricks, right? And like before, just select all four, right? And then merge layers. And you have one piece, one big piece of layers. So it's really hard for you to like match with your drawing because this bricks is actually on top of your drawing, right? So that's why you don't see the drawing. So what you need to do is you just drag this drawing and put it on top. Okay, a nice practice is to lock this layer so that you won't move it. So right now we can actually move it, right? Because it's on top of it, and then just lock it so that it's not gonna move, and we're just gonna work on the materials. Okay, so when it comes to architecture drawing, reality is really important. So if you look at the drawings, right, it's obvious that this brick is slightly bigger than the actual brick size. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna resize it a little bit more until it match the size of real bricks, right? So I think a single bricks will probably be that big, right? So if you compare it with the door that we have here, it's pretty much right. Okay, so after you transform it, you have the right size. Just hit enters, and then it will settle. So right now, as you can see, we still have a little bit more space that is not covered by the brick. So we're gonna, we're gonna we're gonna copy another time until we cover the whole thing, right? And then, yep, that looks good. Select all of them and just merge layers. And then you have one bunch of bricks, bricks texture for the drawing. Okay. So right now, I want this whole thing as a brick, and then we want to delete the rest of it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is the easiest way is to use selection tools because we already have the drawing. So unlock this thing again, and then we have our magic selection tools, and we just select the textures, right? So right now we are selecting uh, the bricks, the area that we wanted to be bricks, right? Okay, so the selection will be there, so don't worry. As long as you don't deselect the selection will be there. So right now we change the layers. Okay, so before you do the selection, make sure that you select the drawing layers. So right now we want to work on the brick, so we change the layers, we click on the brick layers, and uh right now this remember, this is a little bit confusing, so you gotta have to listen carefully. So right now we are selecting the area that we want it to be bricks. Okay, so next step is to delete the bricks outside the bricks textures. So instead of selecting this part, we want to select the rest of it. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is to inverse selection, right? So right click on it and then select inverse. That means we will select the one that is not being selected right now. Okay, this is really confusing, but bear with me. I will say it again. We will select the one that is not being selected right now. So that is what it means by select inverse. So we select inverse. That means right now we're just selecting the outer part of the brick because we want to delete that. Okay, so you are, instead of selecting this part right now, we're actually selecting the rest of it. Okay, so because we're selecting the rest of it and we don't want the rest of it to be bricks, we just press delete and you have it. So that's the easiest way. Instead of erasing the other part, we select the one that we want and we deselect it and then we delete it. Okay, that's a little bit confusing. If you need to go back and listen to it again, by all means you can. Okay, but that's that. So we achieve what we want to actually achieve. All right. So this layers alone is actually the bricks, right? So that means we can name it as bricks. Okay. And right now we're just gonna complete the rest of it. So this is gonna be glass. This is gonna be a door. Probably some wooden textures would be nice. And once we finish this, we'll do the shadows, and then after that we'll do the context. All right. So if you notice, I just switch on the on-screen keyboard. That is to show you what sort of key that I'm pressing while doing this work. So like alternate to zoom in and out while scrolling, and control to go right, left, and right. So you can actually see what button that I'm pressing. So we just exported the wood material into the drawing, right? To basically do the doors over here. Sorry, I just clicking the drawings actually. So we want to lock it, the drawing again, and then we start to move. So this wood material is actually on a layer that I just rename as wood, right? So again, don't worry about the colors, because we can actually change the colors, right? So if this is not the brown that you're looking for, what you want to do is you go here, this little circle with half and half kind of thing. You click on it and then go to hue and saturation, right? So you have this appears on your properties. So that's why you need to have properties, right? And you can change the colors. Okay, so pay attention on the woods only, because whatever you change here, it will affect everything that's underneath it. So bricks is underneath it, so obviously your bricks colors will change as well. But don't worry about it, because afterwards I'm going to show you how to fix it, right? So just focus on the wood area, right? So perhaps I want it to be slightly reddish, so I just move the hues and then gets into the colors that I want. And perhaps I want it to be saturated a little bit more. All right, so that's, yes, so that's the right colors that I want for my wood. So again, this hue and saturation layer is on top of woods and bricks. It will affect the bricks as well. But if you merge these layers, huge and wood layer, which is the one that you want to change, and then you merge layers, then the bricks will get back to its original colors, and then you have the color for your wood that you want. Okay, so before this we are using selection tools to basically uh, erase the materials that's outside the one that you want. But for now, this time we're gonna use eraser instead. So eraser, the short hotkey for eraser is E, right? Or you just click it here. So right now the size is too big. I want to reduce the size of the brush. You just right click and then you have these options coming out. Then you can adjust the size, right? So I think this is the right size. So so we just want the door to be the woods materials. Another tips for eraser or brush is that if you click one time at one place and then you click another time while holding shift, this is what you get, right? It's as if you have the brush sort of like going through a straight line. Same if you erasing while holding shift, you have your brush moving in a straight direction, right? So that's how to do it quickly, right? So you click and hold shift and then your brush will move in a straight 90-degree direction again, right? So there you have it, your door. So I do want this part over here. So you see, if you notice, if you zoom in really closely, it started to produce that pixel thingy. So this is really helpful, right? So I want this middle part to be a glass, right? So I can erase this part. Yep, again, holding shift to get that straight line, right? Good. So what I'm gonna do here is maybe just use a brush, right? So brush, go to the brush tool or press B as a hotkey and then manage the size. And I'm just gonna choose a light blue to just represent the windows, right? Same with the eraser as well. If you hold down the shift key, you will have your brush move on a straight line. Okay, there you have it. So we just manage to do the door. This is sort of like, if you look at this, these two lines over here, this is a frame, so the frame is just too small to put any materials in. So I guess maybe I just want it to be like a dark brown, so we can just use brush on it, right? And then make it a little bit smaller, right? Just one click over here and then another click over here while pressing the shift button. Then you have it, the straight line from the first click to the second click. So you click over here again, hold down the shift button and then have the second click, and then you have like a straight line from the first click to the second click, right? So that's one of the tips to make things to do things a lot faster. So another click and then second click while holding the shift button, so you have that nice like frame for the doors, and then you have your door as well. Okay, so that's for the door, right? And then if you notice, we actually work on one single layers, right? So if you move these layers, right, so you actually paint on top of the wood just now, and then you paint surrounding the woods, right? So that's what happened actually, right? Right. So I guess I will do the window next. So let's do the windows, I guess. See if we can find windows textures. Do they have that? Oh, they do have that. See if we can find something nice. Right, I got one. This looks quite okay. Right, so maybe we can copy this one. Again, go to Photoshop and then create a new layers. Glass, name it as glass, and then paste. Then we have our glass over here, right? And this is actually the door, right? So we name it door glass. I don't think I want to take like all of it, so we make it a little bit bigger, right? And perhaps just take one frame, you know, and just choose one of them. So I'm gonna use the selection tools, right? So I want only this part. So basically right now we are selecting this part, and I want to delete the whole thing. So we do the same thing again, inverse inverse selection, select inverse, and then delete. Then I have one thing, that one thing that I want, right? And which is, because it's glass, I think it doesn't matter when it comes to the what do you call it, proportion, right? So I can just transform this according to the size of the mirror. See, for in Photoshop, if you transform something, it will retain its proportion. So we have to hold down Shift, then you can freely transform the image, right? And then again, copy and paste, hold down alternate to copy the thing. Again, as a reminder, so once you copy the layers or you copy your image, it will create a new layers, right? So let's do one over here. Okay, and then transform it, hold down Shift button, then you have your second glass or windows, right? And then we will complete the rest of it. Okay. All right, because we just copy a bunch of glass, uh, we have all this glass thingy, so we want to change them into, I missed one glass, hold on. So because you have a lot of layers, right? It's really hard to know which one is which layers, right? So if you look at your layers, once you move on top of another layers, it started to highlight which layers is it. So, but another way to do it is to right click on the one that you want, and then you have like all the list of layers that exist on that particular point that you click. So we know that we want the glass, so we pick the glass, right? And then it will choose this particular glass layers and hold alternate to copy it. Okay, and then you can play with the arrow button to actually move it. So right now I'm pressing my arrow, so you can see it's actually moved a little bit. So we want to change all the glass into one single layer, so just click the one at the top and then move all the way to the one at the bottom. You hold down Shift and then you click it, it will select everything in between. Okay, right click, merge layers, and now you just merge everything, all your Windows layer. You can see if you move it, it's actually one single layers. Okay, cool. Um, Next we're gonna do these two. I think I want it to be like a concrete kind of texture, so let's just do that. Yeah, we're gonna fast forwards as well. Okay, so we have all this material. Right now I want this particular what do you call it? This particular surface to be concrete, and this particular surface to be a concrete as well. So this time we'll do again we'll do the selection tool. We use selection tools. So I'm gonna go to my magic wand tools. That's the easiest way to just select one plane, right? And make sure that you are selecting your drawing. And if you look above this, right, there is a little bit, there is some option when it comes to the selection tools. If you click this, the first one, that means you only able to do a single selection. So once you select another place, the previous selection will uh, will disappear, right? So that's one selection per time. So you want to choose this, the second one. This means that you can have multiple selection as you click at any other surface. So right now I want this plane and this part as well to be the concrete, and this small part to be the concrete as well. So we have three different selection at the moment, like three different area that we select. So again, we're gonna use the inverse selection tools. So right click and then the inverse, we do the inverse selection. Where is the inverse? Yeah, select inverse. Boom. That means we select everything that is not selected before, and make sure that you click the concrete layers and then press delete, and the rest of it will disappear. And then you deselect, right? Deselect means that you make the selection disappear. So deselect is Control D, and you have it, right? So that's the concrete. So again, I want the concrete to be maybe a little, like different colors. So we'll do the same tricks, which is hue and saturation. So right now the color is grayish. Somehow I want it to be slightly saturated. So we have a little bit of blue and maybe cream color, I guess. Cream color concrete. Yep, that should do. Like I said, it will affect the whole thing. Okay, so we just have to select both the hue saturation and then concrete, the one that we want to change, and merge. Once it merge, the rest of the color will go back to the original, because when you have that thing, it will affect whatever layers below it. Okay, right. So we just rename this as concrete. Cool. There you have it, all the materials. So by right, if you want to do this, this we call it fascia boards, and the lintel is up to you. But I think we can move to the next part, which is the shadows, right? So what we're going to do with the shadow is we're going to create new layers, but make sure it is below the drawing. So your drawing has to be on top all the time, right? And then lock it so that you won't move it or accidentally move it. So right click on it and then we name it as shadows, right? So right now we have to figure out where the shadow exists, right? So I guess this door, obviously it is a little bit, it is being pushed inside a little bit. uh, uh that means there's gonna be shadows over here, and then we have some lintels, and this is probably some overhang as well. So there will be a little bit of shadows over here and over here, and of course underneath the roof there's some overhang. There's another shadows over here, some shadows, I guess, like underneath this. Okay, so right now what we're gonna do is we will draw the shadow but using selection tools. Okay, so we'll do it step by step. Right now we do these shadows. Okay, so click it, use lasso. Lasso is when if you use lasso selection, it will be like a straight line, so that's easier when you work with architecture project, of course. Oh, it's quite tricky to navigate when it comes to the lasso selection tool, because you can only zoom in, zoom out. You can't actually move left and right or up and down. So when you want to move up, you're gonna have to move your pointer or your cursor upwards, but then that's quite hard to control as well. So be mindful of that. And so right now I'm gonna click here, and then another one is over here, right? And maybe the shadow up until this point. Okay, and pretty much there, and then pretty much here, and end it there, right? So this part will be a shadow, and we'll do the shadow afterwards, right? So like I said, you want to have multiple selection, you have to choose the second one. Okay, so next is the windows, I guess. So we'll do it one by one, right? For the windows, I want to use the rectangle selection tools. Again, make sure that you are on the second one so that you can have multiple selection tools or multiple selections, right? And you select that part. And this one, I think because of the overhang, I think we can do the shadow, all of them, right? Instead of just the glass area. Okay. And obviously this is a balcony, right? And yep, so we'll do the shadows, all of that. And this one, just a small shadow because it doesn't have overhang. Same with this one. And this one we have overhang, we have quite a large shadows. And because the door is being pushed at the back, we just do that. And perhaps if the lighting come from this side, we're gonna have shadow on this side as well. Boom. So we just select a part of it, that a part of the area that we think that the shadow is gonna be. Okay, so if the light's coming from here, then obviously this shadow is gonna be, that we're gonna have some diagonal lines over here. So I want to deselect this selection. So what we do is we pick the third one, right? And using lasso, the third one, and I just make that selection, and it will cut it out. Okay, so that's another function of it. So you just the same thing over here, cut it out. Things over here. Sorry, that's a little bit too much. Okay. Now because this thing moving this way, and we're gonna have something moving that way as well. So I just add another one over here using the lasso tools as well. And then you're gonna have that. Same with this part. Okay. So that's pretty much how you use the selection tool effectively. Okay, now we select everything already. Okay, and then we are on shadow layers. You just click on the bucket tools because we want everything to be black because of the shadow, and choose your black color, and then you just click, and it will turn everything into black according to your selection that you just do just now. All right, so right now we can deselect everything, and then you have all this shadow. Now this shadow is a solid black. Okay, we don't want it to be solid black because it's actually a shadow, so the whole thing is actually like one piece of shadows. So what we want to do is that we're going to change the type of shadow. So the options on top of this is actually the type of layer that you want your selection layers to be. So instead of making it normal, you can change it into multiply. Change it into multiply. It will be multiply means that you can see what's happened below the shadows. But right now it is a solid black, so you can't really see anything. So what you want to do is you change the opacity. You reduce the opacity according to according to how much darker the shadow you want it to be. So if it's 50%, you can start to see the shadow being slightly less solid. You know, if you change it into say 20, then it will be less. So depends on how many how dark the shadow you want it to be. You play with this thing. You know, you change it over here. So right now you have material, you have shadows. Right, next we're gonna do the context. So the context is really important, especially in architecture drawing, uh, because it shows the building on a site. You know, so your building was never in empty area. Even if it's empty area, you still have a context. Like it needs to sit on anywhere on earth, right? So it can't be floating around. So context is really important. So we're gonna just add a little bit of context in these pictures, or sorry, in this drawing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna find some trees, right? So just tree elevation, just Google it, and then you'll find a bunch of them. Okay, and make sure you download the PNG, for example, over here, the PNG version. With the PNG, you will not have any background that you have to cut, so it will appear. You will see the tree itself. Okay, so for this one, I actually downloaded some already. So let's just drag it. So I'm dragging the trees. So this is PNG file. So if you can see the PNG file, you can see through uh, the files, right? So just transform it. Tree is actually yeah, that size. So make sure that it also makes sense, you know. So you have your trees. Uh, we have another trees, right? Just transform it. I want this tree perhaps at the back, right? So you know the tree is at the back. What you want to do is that you want to move everything to the back, like to the most below part of your layers, and then you will have your trees at the back. You see this part, right? You started to see the trees from the back. Is because we don't color this area. Okay, should you have that problem, easy fix. You just have to erase this part of the tree, right? And like we discussed before, when we export something, it will export as smart object. With smart object, you cannot edit it, so you have to rasterize the layers. Once you rasterize the layer, then you can basically do whatever you want. So we will erase this part of the tree so that it does not appear to be at the front of the roof, right? We'll erase this part as well, and then you will see as if the tree is at the back of the house, right? Okay, so we got some bushes. Oh, the bush appear at the back, right? So I want the bush to be at the front, so we have to move it all the way to the front part of the drawing, right? And then resize it. Oh, resize it, right? We have some at the front. So this side, perhaps at this side, I want it to be at the front of the building. And and at this side I want it to be at the back of the building. So what I do is that first we change it into rasterize layers, and I would erase this. Yes. Cool. Done. So this appear at the back, this appear at the front. Now, whatever things that you have on, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. We just have to erase this part. Okay. So whatever things that you have in front of your building, it's important that you make it to be multiply. Change it into multiply. Okay. That means, sorry, don't change it into multiply. Make it normal, but you have to reduce the opacity. Yes. In other words, your building remain the main information. Okay? Okay, so you can still see the building. If it's way in front of the drawing, right? You started to lose uh the information on the building, so you gotta have to reduce the opacity a little bit. Okay? So that the main thing is still your building, and I would always have the drawing on top of any context. It's the same as the one back of it, right? I would always reduce the opacity. Same with the tree as well, right? Always reduce a little bit of the opacity. Okay, so that your house remain as the main piece of information. Okay, now last but not least, we want to do the ground. That's the first one. The ground is easy, basically you just have to color it with some color that actually makes sense. uh, in this case I would just do the bucket tools, you know so that's the ground. I think that's a bit too large, so make it, yeah, make it a little bit shorter. It can be darker though. Yes, a bit darker. I don't mind if it's just black. That makes more sense. Okay. Now let's do the sky. The sky is easy. You just go to Google's and then just Google sky, and you have a bunch of them. Just choose one that actually, uh, what's the words? That's actually suitable for you, for your project. Now this one is definitely a no, because it's like it looks like it is being taken from above the cloud. I guess this one is really nice, so choose the one that's the view is actually from the ground. This one is nice. Okay. Let's just take this one. I think this would copy image, and then just new layers, just name it sky. Again, make sure that it is at the most lowest part, because it is actually the one that is actually the background. So it has to be, the layer must be the one that's the most below layer, I guess. So just paste over there, and yes, you have the sky at the back actually. Just scale it up, and you have, yeah, some impressive rendering. So again, you have this part because you didn't render this part, and we didn't render. I didn't render this part, so a little bit of erasing should be done. And also, yes, the best solution to this is to use magic wand tools, and then just select everything outside the drawing, right? And then because we want to delete the sky inside it, and we just inverse select. That means we are selecting the inside right now, right? And then just go to sky, and then you just hit delete. There you have it, right? So right now we have a little bit like overspill, I would say, the best thing to frame your work is by using crop function, which is this one over here. So you just crop your drawing accordingly, right? And then you just hit enter, and then you have it. We still have this text because it's there, so just disable the text, and then you have your whole what do you call it, rendering things. It's nice to have a little bit more trees, to just have some context at the back, but right now I'm just trying to make it simple and then to just show whatever you need. Okay, so there is how to render your exterior architecture drawing. Next is just import the thing, sorry, export the things and export as. Um, I will always use PNG. Sometimes you want to use JPEG, but PNG seems to be more high resolution. You can just export it. I already exported one time just now, so second time, right? And you'll have it. And if we go and find it, yep, it's actually here. So that's yours. So it's being cropped nicely with the trees and everything. And that's it. You have your elevation architecture drawing rendered with the materials, a little bit of shadows, and a little bit of context. That makes a better uh, presentation drawing for your architecture drawing. So I guess that's it. If you find this useful, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video, share it with your friends. I don't know, uh, but we'll do another tutorial on other things after this. Uh, See you again, I guess.